So in Python, there's a string library which provides a lot of functions that you can do with strings. Now, again, I don't want you to memorize any of these. I want you just to know that they exist so that if I ask you about them on an exam, you can look them up and use them. Now, on the exam, the ones that I will ask you about are the ones that I've asked you about in the classwork and programming assignment. So if I ask you about a function in the classwork, that one I want you to kind of know. So a lot of functions exist. One of them is called capitalize, and what it does, it capitalizes the first letter of a string. And we're going to see examples of these. Count, if you give it a string, it counts how many times that string appears in the first string. Lower and upper, what they do is create copies of the string in lower and uppercase. You can ask a string if it's lowercase, if it's all uppercase, if it's alpha, meaning that it only contains alphabetical letters. If it's a digit, meaning it only contains numbers. If alnum, if it contains both letters and numbers. If it's a space. So let's look at some examples here. Okay, so here I have a variable, stuff, which stores hello there. And what I want to do is I want to print it capitalized. So I'm going to say stuff.capitalize. So I'm calling here a method on stuff. And so it's going to print it for me capitalized with the uppercase, with the first letter capitalized. If I want to say, okay, I want to know how many E's are in you. So I'm going to go to stuff and say count the letter E. So it's going to say I found it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. If I say count me how many times HE is in you, it's going to say there's an HE, there's an HE. So I found 2. How about if I want to see what it is in all lowercase? Well, it's already lowercase. But if I wanted to see it in all uppercase, then it'll print it for me in uppercase. So these are all methods that we can call on the string to manipulate it. I can go to this string and ask it, are you all letters? And it's going to say yes. Oops. It says no. Now here, if I ask hello, it's going to say true. And it's here, it's because there's a space in it. So because there's a space, the space is not a letter. So it's not going, that's why it says false. Now, if I ask it, are you alphanumeric? It says yes, because it's only characters. If I ask it, are you a digit? It's going to say, no, I'm not digits. Now, if I have a string that only contains digits and I say, are you a digit? In that case, it says true. So you can use these like, if you think about a password validation, you want to check, or a phone number validation, you want to check if all the digits are, the phone number is only digits. You can use any of these methods. Other methods that exist is the strip method. And the nice thing about the strip method is that it removes leading and trailing spaces. So if the user, like you're reading from a place and there are some white spaces around a string, what the strip does, it removes those white spaces. You can also strip a string. So saying, maybe remove a period or remove the .docx from a file. So this stripping, it does leading and trailing. So it does before the string, after the string. Lstrip will remove only on the left side. Rstrip will only remove from the right side. You can check if it starts with something or ends with something. You can try to find if a substring is part of a string. You can replace a string with something new. So let's look at examples of all these methods. So here I have a string. This string has a space, underscore, hello there, and then an underscore space. And what I want to do is I want to print it in all lowercase. I'm going to go to string and say print yourself in lowercase. So I'm going to say str.lower. So it's going to convert it to lowercase and it's going to print it. Here I set the separator to be period so that we see that here we have a space after the underscore. Now, if I want to print it in uppercase, I will get it all uppercase. Now, what if I want to remove all the white spaces? I will see that the space that was here before the H, see that space that was here before the H, and the space that was here after the underscore both got removed. So when I said I want you to strip it, what the strip did was removed the leading white spaces and the trailing white spaces. It removed them from both sides. If I want to say I want you to strip me a space and an underscore, what it does, it removes the space and underscore. So it removed it from both sides. If I say I only want you to do the stripping on the left side, what I get is that here from the left side it got removed, the space, but here I still have the space on the right side. So it only removed from the left side. And if I said remove only from the right side, now I have the space on the left side remaining, but the right one got removed. So these are different ways that you can do stripping. Here I want to remove the underscore space from the right side. And so it only gets removed from the right side and the left side remains. So you can do different manipulations using these methods. Now let's look at this code. Here we have a password, and I'm asking if the password is alpha. I'm asking, does this password only contain letters? And the answer is going to be that it contains, it contains numbers. So is alpha is going to return false. So it's not going to print this message. If it was only letters, it would have printed a message saying password must contain numbers. But here is alpha. It's going to look at it and it's going to say, is it all alphabet letters only? And the answer is false. So it doesn't go and do this print. Then it's going to go and check, is it only digits? And it's going to look here, is it only digits? No, it's not digits. It has letters in it. So it's going to skip this print. Then it's going to ask, is it all uppercase? Is this all uppercase? No, I have lowercase letters. So it's going to come here to the else and print a valid password. So here is a sample code that you can use and people use to validate passwords. Other methods that exist, for example, are ends with. I can have, like if I have a file name and I want to see what program on my computer to use to open this file. So for example, if it's a .pdf, I'm going to use Adobe Acrobat. If it ends with PPT or PPTX, I'm going to use PowerPoint to open it. So here I'm going to file name and I'm asking it, do you end with .doc? And here the answer is true. So I'm going to go and I'm going to ask, for example, I want you to tell me where .doc exists in this code, in this file name. So here, this is location 0, the N is location 0, 1, 2, 3, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to return index 4 because the .doc is at index 4. And so it's going to tell me that I found it at location 4. So the find method will tell me where I found a string in another string. It's searching for .doc in file name. What if it didn't find it? It would return -1. Now, I don't want it to be .doc, so I'm going to say I want you to replace .doc with .docx. So every time it sees .doc, it's going to replace it with .docx. And now, when I print it, I find that it didn't change. Why didn't it change? The reason it didn't change is that when you call a function or a method on a string, it's not changing the string. It's going to give you back another string that's equivalent to it. So if I want to really do it right, what I have to do is say file name equal to file name.replace. So here, file name.replace gives you back a string that is the same as the one that you called the method on, but with the replacement done. And now if I print file name, it's going to say docx because I changed it. I manually changed it with the equal sign. So we say that strings are immutable, meaning once you create them, you cannot change them by calling a method on them. You can change the variable. So you can say name equal or file name equal. So you're creating kind of a new variable with the same name, but different contents. So all these methods that we've been doing, lower, upper, replace, all these do not modify the string. They are returning a copy of the string with whatever you need. We cannot also change using the index. So if I want to print location 3, I would say print str location 3. But I cannot come and say change location 3 to be a K. It's not going to let me do that. So I know I've talked about a lot of methods. Like I said, I'm not expecting you to memorize all of them, but I want you to practice using them. The ones that I do expect you to memorize are the ones that tell you whether a character is uppercase or lowercase. So here in this classwork assignment, what you're going to do is you're going to ask the user for a string, and you're going to print me the number of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, white spaces, vowels, and digits. Okay. Now you're going to be using built-in functions like the lower and upper to do the upper and lowercase, the white space also in the digit. If you have to print me the number of uppercase letters or a number of lowercase letters, that means you have to check every single letter. That means you're going to have to use a for loop or a while loop. Okay. And when you're doing the number of vowels, make sure that you check both uppercase vowels and lowercase vowels.